Muhammad's dream is, get rid of all unbelievers, non-Muslims for the Arabian Peninsula, which includes Mecca and Medina. Now, does that include the pagans? Most definitely. Muhammad had it at heart to make Arabia a haven for Muslims alone. No non-Muslims. You idolaters, you become Muslims, or I get rid of you. And you Jews and Christians, though you can remain, Jews and Christians pay jizya, you can't live in the Arabian Peninsula anymore. Muhammad wanted to rid the Arabian Peninsula of any other religious group except Muslims. So this is the historical context, chapter 9. So I want the non-Muslims to understand what we're trying to get at. This wasn't composed in self-defense. There was no group threatening Muslims when chapter 9 verse 5 was composed. The pagans were already subjugated. They're already in submission to Muhammad's rule. But for Muhammad, that wasn't good enough. You become Muslims, and you Jews and Christians, get out of the Arabian Peninsula. You can remain Jews and Christians, pay the jizya, but I don't want any more non-Muslim groups in the Arabian Peninsula. Which is quite interesting. As a side note, don't we have Christians in Saudi Arabia?
No.
I mean, soldiers, don't they have a base there?
That's right.
So they have a military base in Saudi Arabia, and they're Christians, right?
Well, technically, yes.
Well, you know what I mean, non-Muslims.
Yeah.
But according to the hadith, isn't that a betrayal of Muhammad's desire? He didn't want any non-Muslim group touching that so-called sacred soil. So that's the first problem. The second problem, if you actually read chapter 9, verse 8 to 9, let's look at chapter 9, verses 8 to 9. Notice the justification for forcing them to convert to Islam. Even though they already submitted, they weren't a military threat. Notice the justification, because this is now going to backfire against Muhammad. Chapter 9, verses 8 to 9. How can there be such a covenant with them that when you are overpowered by them, they regard not the ties, either of kinship or of covenant with you? With good words from their mouths, they please you, but their hearts are averse to you, and most of them are fasikun, rebellious, disobedient to Allah. They have purchased with the ayat, the verses, and have hindered men from His way. Evil indeed is that which they used to do. So in other words, they are treacherous to their covenants and oaths. How can you have a covenant with such people? You know what? Whatever ties you had, whatever promise you made to them, Muhammad, a year before, you know what? You're free. I'm not going to kill you. I'm not going to force you to become Muslim. You know what? Annulled. They're going to have to become Muslim because they're treacherous. They prove faithless to the covenant. You know what's ironic? Because that's exactly what Muhammad did. If you go to the commentary of chapter 60, verse 10 of the Quran. In chapter 60, verse 10, let me just give you the context. I'm going to try to rush it up. O you who believe, when believing women come to you as immigrants, examine them. Chapter 60, verse 10 of the Quran. When believing women come to you, meaning from Mecca, they come to you in Medina. That's historical context, right? As immigrants, examine them. Allah knows best as to their faith. Then if you ascertain that they are true believers, send them not back to the disbelievers. Do not send them back to the disbelievers. They are not lawful for the disbelievers, nor are the disbelievers lawful for them. Now let me explain what this is about. Muhammad went on a Hajj, the lesser Hajj, pilgrimage called the Umrah. Before he got to Mecca, as he was leaving Medina with all his Muslim hordes, the pagans met him at a place called Hudaybiyah and stopped him. Said, you cannot enter this year. You will let you enter next year, but if you agree to the following stipulations. And so they wrote a covenant known as the Treaty of Hudaybiyah. One of the conditions of the covenant, and this is not me saying it, Ibn Kathir says it, Tabari says it. One of the conditions is, if anyone from Mecca defects to you, men or women, you return them to us. But if any from your camp comes to us, we're under no obligation to return them to you. And Muhammad agreed. And the Muslims were irate, especially Umar. How could you agree to such conditions? Now understand the conditions.